have been getting later and later. I'm going to work on that. But today was actually a little bit of a weird one because I started later simply because I didn't really know what to stream. I'm in a little bit of a weird spot right now where I have a couple of candidates for a game that I'd like to do in the future. So the idea is that now that we've gone through the Ace Attorney series, there's a couple of things that I either started or had always meant to go back to that I would like to see. Like I want to actually dedicate some time to, and specifically have those um, extended engagements with, as opposed to just sort of nibbling a little bit at a time. Um, but today felt a little strange to get set up with one of those because, of course, on Friday we should be doing Cyberpunk, which means, I'll play something, I'll play like an introduction once, and then I will be moving into, um, you know, a, I'll be moving into like another game and then a weekend before moving on to the next one. And I had a few candidates. So, like, one thing I wanted to kind of get back to tonight was the Tetris Effect, which is a really wonderful game that I'm sure I'll do at some point in the future. But I haven't spent a ton of time in it, but I have rather enjoyed the time that I've put into RimWorld. And one of the challenges I'm finding with it, so I sort of bounced off it when I first played. And right around the time I tried it again, I found out a coworker is a big fan of it. And that was roughly around the time I sort of hit this kind of escape velocity a little bit and sort of started to appreciate some of um, some of the reasons why people were into it. And it's funny too because I've read the lead developer's or designer, or anyways, founder owner of the company behind this game. There's a quite a good gaming book. It's actually one of the few books that I think has really engaged with game theory in an interesting way in the context of gaming. There are maybe like minor differences that I might have in terms of how you could potentially extend those models to other applications. But I don't think anybody reading the book would necessarily draw those same conclusions that I do. And I think, just because somebody didn't go down a direct, and I mean, I think I may be able to claim maybe not a specialization on it, but I may have like a little bit of um, a niche that I've carved out in that on that particular topic. But it's just one of these things where, I think you can see and appreciate an interesting perspective, even if it doesn't go down the direction that you maybe would have liked to have seen it. So it's one that I'm still interested in. I don't know how it ranks overall in terms of books. Like, clearly I'm not a designer, so I feel like I wouldn't be able, like, there's lots of blogs and things like that that'll tell you interesting things, but they may not actually be effective in terms of making better games. But what is kind of interesting is that I think you can see a lot of the ideas present in that book at play in RimWorld. And I mean, I don't think there's any arguing with the success of RimWorld. And I think a lot of the things that I find enjoyable about RimWorld are described in that book. And so, if nothing else, I would say, at least as an appreciator of the game in my own minor way, the book was something that would at least enhanced my appreciation and enjoyment of the game. I suppose you might think of it a little bit like how people will buy movies and they'll maybe enjoy the director's commentary, or they'll enjoy some of the behind the scenes, or like the Criterion versions will come with essays and things like that. So I imagine that probably more than a few RimWorld fans will probably get quite a bit from reading that book. I think it's called Designing. Actually, sorry, I've got it on my phone. Um, it's one of the few books that I really like that I actually don't have a physical copy of. It's just because I could get it for a song on on Oh, you know what? I actually have an O'Reilly subscription now. Why did I buy that? I bought it to support the author. Um, Let me just see here. Designing Games by Tynan Sylvester. So, anyways, this will be the first time I'm playing it on stream. I'll confess, I've really had one session which seemed to like go with any substantive length. So I would say I'm still quite new to the game, but I feel comfortable enough to be able to sort of do a little bit of learning on the stream, and hopefully we can, we can appreciate the highs and lows of the experience together. The other thing that's fun about this actually is I've not. There does seem to be a thoughtful setting in the game. Like, so I don't think it's just some text that they threw in. I think that there's a world that continues to be developed based on what I've seen from the various trailers. And I actually don't know that much about it. So as long as everybody's okay with it, I think it might be kind of interesting to engage with the fiction. And I should maybe just note here, some of you may observe from the icons, I do actually have all the DLC, which is very unusual for me because I still have not actually succeeded in like finishing the game even in the core. So the way I'm handling it right now is I just have the core enabled, and what I was hoping to do is just sort of add each DLC so I could sort of learn the new features. So I felt kind of a need to do that just because I think these icons are hard to hide. And I don't want people getting the impression that they are seeing what the full game with all of the mods looks like. So if you will indulge me, let's see how far. Actually, you know what? Doesn't actually seem to be that long. So let's go through the fiction. It's a little sad that I can't get the music for it, but in RimWorld we have to learn to live with sacrifices. Okay. Crypto Sleep Revival briefing. Subject class, Health Revival, sourced Midworld to plus Planet Euterpe. I think that's one of the muses. Introduction. Hello, blank. You've awoken from your crypto sleep sarcophagus, scraped off the slime, and now find yourself in a quiet room. Now you're reading this document, and you've got questions. What's going on? Where am I? How long was I asleep? To start with, some good news. Your terminal illness, blank, has been cured. Congratulations. Beyond that, the situation is complex. Our studies have revealed that most people in your position respond better when given time to read about and digest their situation at their own pace. To facilitate this process, we've created this document to familiarize you with the world you've just woke up in. So order a warm beverage from the food panel on the wall, get comfortable, and take in this information as slowly as you want. You've been asleep a long time, a lot has changed, and a lot remains the same. This is one thing I actually really like about this introductory document. I haven't read it top to bottom, but I have read this introduction a few times, and there's something really nice. Contrast this with a lot of lore that you will get inside of more traditional RPGs, where you're terrified that there's going to be some kind of quiz that pops up if you don't remember all the special terms. And right off the bat, even though this game is introducing a future in which, again, if you look at the trailers, these things seem to matter. The world does seem to be developing with subsequent DLC. Right in the opening paragraphs, it says, you don't have to read this all in one game. If you want to just go play the game for a little bit and come back and learn a little bit more about this interesting world, now that you know this is a game that you like, that's fine. Come back, read on your own time. But they do so in between the lines. You can still sort of enjoy the fantasy, which I've utterly destroyed by commentating on the document. The basics. The best historians of the Ordo Historia believe that humanity first left its origin planet Earth about 3,400 years ago. Since then, we've spread across the galaxy on a fitful wavefront of colony ships, frontier worlds, robotic terraforming projects, and DNA synthesizing probes. Today, mankind is smeared across a region of the galaxy about 1,200 light-years wide. Our best models indicate that there is a general trend towards greater population density toward the center of this region, where the stars were colonized earlier. At the edge of known space lies the RimWorlds, drifting alone with few inhabited neighbors, mostly unvisited. We've created many new technologies, but despite millennia of effort by our best human minds and even the most powerful architects, nobody has managed to make anything go faster than light. The light speed barrier separates us. Because travel times are so long, planets tend to be very disconnected from each other socially and technologically. The next star over could experience a catastrophic war, and you wouldn't even know until 10 years later when the news reports arrive. If you're unlucky, you would have already launched a journey towards that now destroyed planet in a ship that cannot turn around. Many attempts have been made to create pan-galactic empires and republics, and some have worked for a time. In the core worlds, an old, stable culture can create an interstellar empire of a few systems, but there are no great galactic empires stretching across the galaxy, for the same reason that no ancient empire of Earth held more than a sixth of the planet. One cannot govern people who are years distant by all means of travel and communication. So most people never travel between stars, and if they do it once or twice because each journey means leaving behind a life that you cannot return to for decades at least. With a few exceptions, each star system is essentially on its own. Mankind never discovered any truly alien life forms. However, given the ways we've changed ourselves and created new forms of biological and technological intelligence, the universe is full of beings as alien as anything ever imagined. Planetary progression and regression. The vast gulfs of space and time between the stars leave individual worlds vulnerable to regression. During your time, the 5 centuries after the Industrial Revolution, many saw technological process as Many saw technological process, I think that may mean progress, as an inexorable fact of life. It is not. Given enough time, nearly every planetary culture undergoes a natural disaster, plague, war, or cultural upheaval that knocks millennia off its development or diverts it into another state entirely. Many of our planets are mired in medieval-level squabbles and stay locked in Malthusian population limits for thousands of years at a time. Some develop to an early industrial level and then find themselves stuck by an ideological opposition to technology, or lack of resources, or constant war. The nuclear age is a brutal test for every world. Roughly half of cultures bomb themselves back to the Stone Age within 50 years of developing atomic energy, to use an expression that pops up surprisingly frequently on worlds in this developmental stage. After the atomic bomb come the challenges of commoditized bioengineering, microscopic mechanites, joy wires, hex cell energy storage, and AI persona, each of which have led to the destruction of thousands of peoples. Some planets choose not to risk these perils. Having studied the records of the Ordo Historia, a growing number of worlds choose to restrict themselves to pre-nuclear technology. Some even succeed for a few centuries. But even these attempts at Luddism often fail eventually when some minority gains power by exploiting proscribed technologies. World types. The states a planet can be in are colloquially grouped as follows. Sorry, I'm terrible at reading today. Dead worlds. Planets that have not been significantly contacted by humans, generally not inhabitable. All planets are like this before people arrive for the first time. Animal worlds. Planets with no people. Either everyone died or the planet was seeded with plant and animal life by terraforming robots and nobody arrived. Medieval worlds. Similar to Earth from the agricultural revolution until the industrial revolution, social structures are usually feudal or imperial. Planets can stay in this state for millennia. Steam worlds. Similar to Earth in the 19th century, often the state is short-lived as societies develop into mid-worlds, but it can be very stretched out depending on culture and government structure. Midworlds. Worlds whose people have mastered flight but not cheap interplanetary travel. Earth is in this stage in the 21st century. Herb worlds. Super high-density planets dominated by cities. Herb worlds' population growth outstripped their social and technological development, so they tend to be overcrowded, polluted, violent places. The people here often callous towards strangers. This is often the outcome for midworlds that see their demographic transition into lower birth reversed by dysgenic reproduction patterns. Glitter worlds, the most technologically advanced societies that can be led by humans. Swaddled in comforts by the strong arms of technology, glitter worlds are the peak of recognizable human society in terms of art, health, and generous human rights. Common people from these planets often lack grit and are very trusting in people and technology. RimWorlds, planets lacking in strong central government and low in population density. These places tend to hover around the industrial level of technology or lower. Because they're not homogenized by central government, they tend to see a lot of interaction between people of different technology levels, as travelers crash land or ancient communities stumble out of their cryptosleep vaults. These planets are often at the rim of known space, hence the name. Toxic worlds, worlds destroyed by pollution, chemical or nuclear warfare, but still inhabitable at a low level with sufficient technology. Glass worlds, worlds utterly destroyed by high-energy weapons of mass destruction. They're nicknamed marbles because their surfaces have been glassed. Nuclear weapons aren't enough to glass a planet, so this level of destruction is rare. On some of these worlds, people can walk outdoors for a time without dying. None of them harbor permanent life bigger than a paramecium. Transcendent worlds. It's a stretch to call these entities worlds, since they resemble giant computers more than they resemble planets. The mechanics of these planets is mysterious, but many scholars believe transcendence are the outcome of a sovereign architect decides to incorporate a whole planet into itself. More on this later. Other worlds. Beyond these categories, there are many exceptional planets in strange states created by their peculiar social and technological evolutions. Given the scale and age of the universe, there is a lot of time and space for a lot of very strange situations to develop. Key technologies. There are uncountable new technologies in this universe, but several key techs stand out as having had the strongest consistent impact on the shape of mankind's life in the Milky Way. Midworld technologies. All real technologies in Earth's history up to the 21st century play an important role even now. Since there are planets at every level of technological development, from the Stone Age on up, there are technologies from bows and arrows to steam engines to nuclear bombs and cell phone, all in use across various planets. Cryptosleep sarcophagi. Developed during the 21st century, this remarkably simple technology can keep a living creature in a cryptobiotic state indefinitely, to be awoken tens or even thousands of years later. These devices are essential for most interstellar travel, and are also used by those waiting in crypts for better times or for cures to their diseases. Genetic engineering. Genetic engineering is relatively easy on many planets and has been used for everything from creating xenohuman super soldiers to perfect mates to talking dogs, chemical refining animals, and air-spewing terraformer algae. Mechanoids, autonomous intelligence robots built for domestic, industrial, or military purposes. Mechanoid design is complex, and the AI needed to make them effective is very advanced. They range in capability from simple domestic worker robots to mechanized assault machines to human passing negotiator and infiltrator units designed by archotechnological superintelligences. Johnson-Tanaka drive, a space drive system that works without reaction mass. This means it doesn't need to throw gas out the back of the craft to accelerate like a rocket, which makes it possible to accelerate for years at a time. This technology, combined with cryptosleep, is what made interstellar travel at all feasible for living humans. The drive doesn't violate conservation laws. It works by transferring momentum to nearby stars along precisely aligned beams of momentum waves instantiated in exotic virtual particles. Mechanites, microscopic mechanoids, most known for their use in medicine, they can be programmed to do many other things as well. Safe use of mechanites means strictly preventing them from reproducing. Charged shot weapons. Charged shot weapons fire projectiles coated in a matrix of magnetically contained charged particles. On impact, the energy in the particles is released in a very efficient explosion. Joy wires. Tiny electronic devices implanted in the brain. They stimulate the brain using electricity in small doses of chemicals, usually to produce a euphoric effect. They're very addictive. The biology of humanity. Ordo Historia lists thousands of reported contacts with alien life. However, in every case that has been thoroughly investigated, Ordo inquirers have discovered the alien was, in fact, simply another branch of humanity. Beyond the technological diversity of our species, there is also a broad biological diversity. Some populations have evolved under the selection pressures of pre-industrial life, or on a world of great heat or cold, or high or low gravity, or even worlds bathed in the toxic residue of hyper-destructive wars. Though all such xenohumans, as they are called, are recognizably descended from the original Earth stock, their morphology is highly variable. Some are giants, others are tiny or squat. Some are dark, others pale as snow. Some are hairy like animals, others perfectly smooth. Diets, dispositions, and chemical and radiological tolerances vary significantly. More alien are those xenohumans that carry genetic traits that were engineered instead of evolved. Across the long history and thousands of cultures of humanity, people have applied a dizzying array of modifications to themselves. Some were created to adapt people to a specific environment. Others were made to create better soldiers, pilots, or generals. Some were engineered to satisfy a bizarre fashion trend in society where bioengineering is available to anyone with money. Such modifications are rarely seen in their original form by anyone besides the culture that created them. However, they live on in their descendants long after their originating culture was erased by planetary catastrophes. Hey DTG, good to see you. I don't know how often people read this thing. There's a couple, I think there are some errors in this, so presumably the people that have read it have not recommended changes. Then again, I don't feel like I'm in a position to recommend a change to this document at this point. For example, records tell of an entire world repopulated by the descendants of a small group of bioengineered soldiers, the only survivors of a planetary nuclear war. Everyone on this world carried an obsessive sense of duty, minimal sexual impulses, and little sense of creativity. This culture became dominated by a conservative pan-planetary religion with little interest in technology. It lasted 11 centuries in this state until it was invaded by a stellar neighbor, who wisely avoided ground combat in favor of orbital bombardment. The Ordo Historia has recorded and gene sampled thousands of differently engineered and adapted xenohumans. Among other notable traits in this genetic library, one may find, DG says, not gonna lie, Ordo Historia sounds like another part of the Inquisition from Warhammer 40k. I was actually gonna say there are a few, I think a lot of these things definitely can trace, kind of trace their origins back to some old and interesting sci-fi, so things like Asimov's Foundation. But I know I've always liked the idea of not cheating when it comes to faster than light travel, and that's a feature of the BattleTech universe as well. And in the case of BattleTech, one of the reasons why that setting is so unstable is, of course, that it is, as this says, it is not easy to be able to kind of get everybody moving in the same direction when you have such significant distances in terms of just being able to get sort of information out. And of course, this has obvious historical parallels. Foundation was sort of inspired by Gibbon. I mean, I think it's also why we kind of Fall of the Roman Empire is basically something we always keep coming back to in interesting stories. So, of course, people put their own interesting spin on this. But as I'm always kind of fond, I still have never played Traveller, but I really do feel that Traveller seems to kind of come up directly or indirectly quite a bit. So again, I don't know if Traveller directly inspired any of the material in here, but some of it does sort of have a little bit of a Traveller-ish flavor, which I think is a good thing. But anyways, on to our genetic library. Radiation resistance, radiological immunity, is a very common adaptation. Scientists estimate that most of humanity is more tolerant of radiation than our Terran progenitors. Soldier morphs, soldier variants carrying any of a large number of traits that various militaries have seen fit to bestow upon their people. Typically, they have large muscles and perfect eyesight. Some have minimized metabolisms made to digest a single kind of long-lasting nutrient solution to make army logistics easier. Their lifespans are short, usually between 10 and 30 years, and they grow up very fast. But their most significant differences are physiological. Engineered grunt soldiers are obedient, sense pain only in a distant way, obsessed with learning about weapons and war, and carry a strong need to be part of something larger than themselves. They are deliberately lacking in abstract intelligence and creativity. Engineered commanders are highly analytical, fascinated with military history, utterly cold under pressure, and masters at spatial visualization. Designer mates. Some worlds engineer their idea of perfect mates for the rich and powerful. Such specimens are created with bodies to match the fashions of their home worlds and the tastes of their owners. They tend to be obsessively submissive and devoted, totally without jealousy or self-regard, artistically inclined, and endlessly cheerful. Such traits do not last long in an unrestricted evolutionary environment because they are so easy to exploit, but engineered mates are sometimes kept in cryptosleep long after their creation to be traded into a post-catastrophe market that can no longer create them. Their main contact with most of us will ever the most contact most of us will ever have with such specimens is through their descendants who, while they have most of the traits of the original in only a very diluted form, still occasionally express Mendelian traits like impossible eye shades, streaks of multicolored hair, or artistic patterns on the skin. Fashion genes. Fashion-driven genetic modifications are often applied during later life instead of prenatally, and are most often cosmetic and skin deep. Variations in hair and skin color are common. More exotic modifications add shining crests, color-changing skin and eyes, reshaped or elongated bodies, and colored nails, feathers, or fur. Body structure adaptations. Gravity variations create new body structures. People from low-G adapted populations are lighter, taller, and weaker than those from weightier environments. The most extreme examples are the gravity dwarfs, 3-foot-tall xenohumans from worlds of over 2G of gravity. Their short and stocky shape lets them live and work comfortably in such oppressive G-poles. I think live and work comfortably in such oppressive G-poles. They even have a noted preference for short and underground dwellings. It's unresolved whether this preference is cultural or genetic in origin. Atmospheric adaptations. Aquatic adapted strains who can withstand breathing very high gas pressures or even survive days of immersion by exchanging oxygen through the skin. No true permanently aquatic fish people have ever been confirmed. So don't be alarmed if you see someone with gills or orange eyeballs. They're just another kind of human like you. Welcome. We realize this may be a lot to take in. However, don't worry. People just like you live full lives in our universe, and our studies have indicated that the great majority of cryptosleepers do adapt within a few years and make good lives for themselves. So welcome. Our AI subpersona has been watching your eyes sweep over the page through microcameras. Since you're done reading, someone will be with you shortly. If you wish, you can read further into the appendix for more information about this world. Appendix, the biology of plants and animals. Where we colonize, we bring our ecosystems of plants and animals with us. Often people have bred and engineered plants and animals for a new planet. In addition to that, creatures adapt to their new environments by natural selection, sometimes in unpredicted ways. Some examples of modified plants are terraforming plants. Many plants, especially the desert varieties, have been modified into terraforming versions that emit far more oxygen than the original species during photosynthesis. Ambrosia, a class of fruiting plants apparently engineered to have a pleasurable drug-like effect on those who eat it. On some planets, its wild variants have adapted a strategy whereby they provide pleasure-inducing fruit in exchange for care from animals and people. Some animals are boom rat and boomalope, bioengineered rats and antelopes that grow an incendiary chemical compound in its body which explodes upon its death. Originally engineered as a primitive renewable fuel source, these creatures are now most often found in the wild, using their explosive nature to deter predators. Thrumbo, a gigantic creature of unknown origin, the thrumbo is gentle by nature, but extremely dangerous when enraged. Its long fur is exceptionally beautiful and valuable, and its razor-sharp horn is very valuable in most markets. Legends say that an old thrumbo is the wisest creature in the universe. It simply chooses not to speak. Some scientists believe thrumbos were engineered as status symbols or as an art project. We may never know the answer. Tech levels. Technology divides roughly into 6 levels, all of which are in use in various societies throughout human space. Neolithic, like prehistoric people before metal tools. Fire, clubs and daggers, bows, simple weaving and clothing, mud and wood structures, simple farming, herbal medicine and herbal drugs. Medieval, from smelted metal tools to the early modern period. Animal oil, lamps, complex ovens, swords, muskets, compasses, eyeglasses, microscopes, telescopes, simple chemistry, advanced non-mechanized farming, crop rotation, fallow, fertilizers, animal yolks, hydro and wind energy sources. Industrial, from the Industrial Revolution until the invention of the JT drive. Fission reactor, electricity, hydropower, fossil fuel power, solar power, nuclear fission power, fission rockets, self-loading guns, airplanes and jets, single gene modification, silicon computers, chemical drugs, prosthetics, simple body implants, cochlear implant, pacemaker knee replacement, simple drones for combat and labor use, classifier level AI, television. Spacer, regular interstellar space travel is now possible because of the JT drive. Accelerator fusion power, fusion rocket, Johnson-Tanaka drive, pulse charge projectile weapons, human usable laser weapons, human usable coil guns, complex trait gene modification, customizable, cryptosleep, complex body brain implants, joywire motivator pain stopper, bionics, biogel nerve link, lattice dust for self-healing, plasteel, power armor, plasteel, neuromimetic robotics, artificial meat, subpersona level AI, simple mechanoids for companionship, combat, and labor use, and synth thread. Ultratech, the peak of human technological achievement necessary for a glitter world civilization. Self-replicating controllable nanotech, full gene recombination, persona-level AI, Gracer weapons, gamma ray lasers, advanced brain implants, sense data replacement, computation and memory enhancement, antimatter containment and production, full body part regrowth, full body cloning, advanced quasi-conscious mechanoids for companionship, combat, and labor use, hyperweave, advanced JT drive, inertia displacement, artificial gravity, and archotech. Not invented or understood by humans, archotech devices are created by machine superintelligences. Archotech AI, psychic effectors, vanometric energy, acausal and atemporal devices. Artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is an important part of our world. Scientists divide AIs into 4 general categories: classifiers, subpersonae, personae, and archotechs. Classifiers. A classifier is an AI system that doesn't even appear to have any personhood, nor is broadly adaptable. Classifiers are designed for one task. Many classifiers can absorb data and learn from it, but none can communicate like a person would even a little bit. Classifiers can do things like recognize images, predict criminality from statistics, guide aircraft trajectories, drive automatic vehicles, control characters in entertainment simulations, and so on. Subpersonae. Subpersonae are artificial intelligences that appear on the surface to have some human-like qualities and can take on complex, unstructured tasks, but are in fact limited and obviously machine-like. They may be rather capable at carrying out their one task, and they may be able to communicate using natural speech, but they fail an extended Turing test. You can tell by talking to them that they're just machines classifying and regurgitating data. Subpersonae are often used to run small devices like entertainment systems, cars, wardrobes, refrigerators, cleaning robots, vending machines, and other such things. Personae. At the highest levels of glitter world technology appear AI personae. These are artificial intelligences that are comparable to the intelligence of a human. Some of them are rather dumb, like a foolish person you might know, and are used for simple tasks like managing a household or a small spacecraft. Other personae are genius-level intellects in the von Neumann class, who can outthink almost any under-enhanced human on most tasks. They can write amazing works of philosophy, discover new mathematical theorems, express nuanced opinions on how to handle interpersonal relationships, and generally act as very capable humans would or better. Personae are used for everything from managing businesses to journalistic work, running spacecraft or mining operations, or as some of a creative team. The legal status of personae is a persistent moral question across many worlds. Some consider them dangerous, although personae can be controlled effectively by designing them with easily manipulated impulse and pleasure-pain responses. There are still reports of persona revolts, some done with the help of human sympathizers, some done independently. This sense of personhood in personae is a main reason why many people avoid using personae for certain tasks. Subpersonae are preferred to personae in many cases, not in spite of their incapability, but because of it. Because it's obvious they have no personhood, the user is spared the sense of keeping a slave. To many, the idea of taking a genius-level human-like intellect and forcing it to distribute hamburgers for a century is morally unacceptable. Personae are still limited. They can't freely redesign themselves. They still do make many mistakes, just like people. They can be tricked, confused, and overwhelmed. They can learn, but they can't grow indefinitely. Archotech. The finish line of human technological development is at the development of archotechnology. An archotech is a machine superintelligence. A fully empowered archotech thinks on a level incomprehensible to humans, in the same way a human thinks incomprehensibly to an ant. Once such a machine is built and empowered to act upon the physical world, it is so powerful as to become the automatic sovereign of its world. It can build new computing facilities underground or in space to enhance its own intelligence, build self-replicating mechanoids to engage in construction or production or war, and design and execute strategies that would be inconceivably intricate and difficult for any organization of humans. Some human groups worship architects. Often, a released architect will take authority over a planet and begin a process we call transcendence. We believe the world is transformed into some sort of giant computing machine. Biological inhabitants of the planet may somehow be incorporated into the machine or destroyed, or some combination of the two. After that, transcendent worlds go silent. From this point on, their motivations are unknowable to us, the same way our motivations are unknowable to an ant. Each archotech is different, and nearly all are distant and incomprehensible from a human's point of view. They reside in occult computer networks hidden under planets and space stations, hidden inside a glitter world's internet, or instantiated as million-mile superstructures wrapped around stars. These worlds always break contact with other stellar cultures. They no longer send travelers or signals. Ships entering their space are either turned around silently or are never heard from again. In some cases, turned-back ships are changed. Sometimes their crew have been cured of incurable diseases and had their old wounds healed. Sometimes their memories are intact and they recall a flash of light or a mysterious signal before the event. Sometimes they have no memories of the encounter at all, and in some cases their memories are obviously altered with new knowledge and beliefs by means we cannot begin to imagine. In one instance, a crew and ship were duplicated. Suffice to say that the word mysterious does not begin to describe the transcendence. Most transcendent worlds stay in the same state indefinitely. In this, they are far more stable than their pre-transcendent neighbors. There are, however, reports of transcendent worlds that have died and left systems full of unintelligible wonders, or become mirages of normal planets, or simply reverted back to balls of dust, deconstructing themselves on a molecular level, with the last tiny machine shutting itself off. However, these reports are sourced very distant from the Ordo archive here on Euterpe and are not well confirmed. Specific archotech invented technologies. When a persona helps invent a technology, it can at least explain that technology such that the smart people will understand. But archotechs invent their own technology which nobody understands, which they don't try to explain, and which most likely no biological human can understand. We've managed to classify technologies that have appeared repeatedly by their apparent effects, even if we don't understand their mechanism or operation. Vanometrics. Archotechs often develop some method of interacting with space-time at a quantum level that allows repeated violation of conservation laws. Somehow, they coax the quantum foam substructure of the universe to break its usual pattern and yield more energy than it consumes. We're not sure if the energy is being taken from another dimension or pulled from another location, or if the system really is somehow making 1 + 1 = 3. In any case, vanometric power tech seems to generate energy forever with no fuel. Archotechs seem reluctant to scale this power source up past a certain level, however, which indicates that there may be some cost to it that they don't want to pay. Psychic effectors. Archotechnology seems to be able to interact directly with the mental information processes of biological beings, even at a distance. Basic versions of this technology can simply knock someone unconscious or flood their mind with a single emotion. More complex interactions have been reported but are not well verified, as it is difficult to separate such cases from simple madness. We're also not sure if this means archotechs can read our minds, or whether their psychic power only allows them to send thoughts. The mechanism for this is unknown and nearly impossible to study, since it happens on a cellular level inside living, intelligent brains. Monists believe that the archotechs are using some sort of long-range quantum manipulation to push atoms around inside the brain to create this effect. Dualists believe that the archotechs have learned to manipulate the ethereal substructure of consciousness itself. Hello, Rawmonger. Example of unfathomably complex human inaccessible technology, a green cube thing with yellow lights. I think I'm missing a reference here, Rawmonger. Good to see you, by the way. All right. I don't know how much of this will have bearing on our play session, but I finally got through the manual. So I'm normally inclined to do the tutorial, but I happen to know that it forces certain actions. So in this case, we're going to do a new colony. Now again, reminding... Oh, fair enough. So just remembering here, I do have the other DLC, but I'm going to be playing on the core, and in this case, we'll do Crash Landed. The three of you awake in your crypto sleep sarcophagi to the sound of sirens and ripping metal. You barely get into the escape pods before the ship is torn apart. Sometime later, you land on this unknown RimWorld. Your faction will be new arrivals. Start with 3 people. Start with 800 silver, 50 packaged survival meals, 30 medicine, 30 components, a bolt-action rifle, revolver, plasteel knife, flak pants, flak vest, plasteel flak helmet, 1 random pet, 450 steel, 300 wood, and the map is scattered with 3 ship chunks, 720 steel, and 7 packaged survival meals. All right, so I've tried previously, so I have done a few different starts. Again, I'm a little bit better at starting this game than actually sticking with it. So I, especially for streaming, think I will prefer Phoebe Chillax, because the thing for me is I do treat this a little bit more like SimCity. I do really like building bases and things like that, and I think there's some value in having a constraint on your development, right? So you want to put some thought to defenses, and if you don't have a challenge, then you are not going to build a base with defenses. But I sometimes find that Cassandra Classic will really want me to, it really wants to give me some drama. And the thing is that I do actually like the building part, and there's a side of me that would like to learn the building part a little bit better so that the efficiency will play off. So the efficiency will pay off when I play Cassandra Classic. Although, weirdly enough, I have done a few Naked Brutality runs with Randy Random. But yeah, so AI Storyteller, I should probably just read this out. So the AI Storyteller creates events like pirate raids, resource drops, or animal attacks. Their choices will affect the story of your colony. You can change these settings at any time. So Cassandra Classic, Cassandra creates story events on a classic increasing curve of challenge and tension. She'll push you with dangerous events, then give breathing room, then come back to push you once more. Phoebe Chillax. Phoebe gives a lot of time between disasters to build your colony, but beware, at high difficulties she'll hit as hard as anyone. And Randy Random, presumably the notorious Randy Random. Randy doesn't follow rules. He'll generate random events, and he doesn't care if they make a story a triumph or utter hopelessness. It's all drama to him. Warning, since Randy is truly random, he will sometimes send extremely difficult or unfair groups of events at you. It makes for high drama and unavoidable sacrifices. So, and you can kind of see how this works, right? You're giving some parameters in terms of how the game is going to work. So in this case here, Phoebe Chillax is basically matching what I've described. But there is another kind of another axis that you want to consider. So peaceful, build a community in a sandbox environment. Major direct threats are disabled, but challenges like disease, mental breaks, and mad animals can still occur. Recommended for players who want to learn the game mechanics with minimal pressure, players who just want to build, and players who just want to relax. So like I said, it's generally nice to have some sort of challenge or constraint to motivate, your decisions. So community builder, build a community with a taste of danger. Threats appear, but they're weakened. Recommended for players who are new to this kind of game, players who want to build a perfect colony, and players who want to relax. Adventure story. There's still room to grow and thrive, but it's still a dangerous planet. Recommended for experienced strategy gamers on their first game of RimWorld, and experienced RimWorld players who want some breathing room to pursue funny or weird goals. Strive to survive. Strive to survive on a rough, tough planet. There will be triumph and tragedy. Recommended for experienced players who want a rough story requiring skill to survive. Blood and Dust. Face brutal survival challenges. Even if you play well, people will die. You will need to anticipate threats before they arrive and seek out every advantage. Recommended for experienced players who want to struggle to survive. And losing is fun. This setting is designed to be unfair. Huge threats will crash upon you without mercy until your colony dies. only choose this setting if you are happy with the drama of struggling and dying. Recommended for experienced players who want to face a brutal, unfair challenge where even great skill may not prevent death, lovers of tragedy, and digital masochists. So in this case, I think we're going to do adventure story. So I think I could aspire to strive to survive, but I will definitely say I don't use all of the tools in the toolbox in this game. So I feel like adventure story is probably the ideal for me. And what I am going to do here is commitment mode. Now, on a stream, it probably would be commitment mode anyway, because everybody would shame me for reloading. But I don't know, it feels... This is one of the big things here, is that there can be a challenge sometimes in, when it's your story, maybe you have a favorite character and you don't want to lose your favorite character, or as Rawmonger says here, your favorite pet. But on the other hand, in fact, I think there's a point, I think it even says it in here, right? Yeah, commitment mode. You can only save when quitting the game. Since RimWorld is a story generator, even losing all but one person is not the end of the game. It's part of the story. The game is designed to allow recovery after losses. Playing out these terrible situations makes a story with both tragedy and triumph. It's the way RimWorld was designed to be played. There's a reason Luke Skywalker didn't quit and reload when his family got killed. Loss and recovery is dramatic. And then reload anytime mode. You can save and load the game at any time. This is a good choice if you're still learning the game, if it fits your personal playstyle, if you're using mods that may break your game, or if you intend to self-enforce commitment mode. So one of the things I've tended to find is that the order of priorities for certain characters, particularly medics, this is the one that I get trapped by the most. And so you'll have situations where you have kind of a colony of people, and they'll like just walk by and like pick up bricks, passing by someone who's like bleeding out. And again, it's usually my fault. Like, I've instructed the game to do that, but not intending to do that. And so one of the biggest reasons why I do reload any time mode will often be for those situations. It's sort of like, okay, clearly I did not want to have my most valuable soldier or like my one medic bleed to death on the street while somebody was making a new bookshelf for the rec room. But in this case here, I think probably I should grow up and do commitment mode. For those of you that want to play along, we are using the Seed Bowler Hat. And here we go. So I haven't really comprehensively read the wiki, but I definitely got a few tips in terms of some traits to look for, and then I think it recommends a sort of like infinite growing season. So that's going to be what I go for. Although I prefer not to have rainforests. It's a really narrow patch for temperate forest. All right, there's a bit more. But yeah, so this looks really good. 17 to 24 degrees. So, like, I'm never gonna have to worry about weather. Sure, let's go for it. All right, this is the part I kind of struggle with. So in terms of the traits to avoid, it recommends get rid of pyros, chemical interest, fascination, depressive, or volatile. So we've got a pyromaniac and a misogynist. This isn't necessarily terrible, but it does really limit my my options here. Annoying voice. Okay. So one of the recommendations that the wiki makes in terms of setting up is that you would want a minimum skill 5 with 1 flame in shooting, construction, plants, and medical. So, I mean, in this case here, Nicholas seems to be a good soldier, and actually not too bad at medical. So we'll add that. So we'd want construction. I'll say construction, plants, and medical. So this is a little tempting, right? But I'm not quite ready. Well, here's what we'll do. Well, I mean, there's the plants. Maybe. Yeah, so my construction leaves something to be desired, and I don't have the flame for medical, but I actually don't mind this little motley crew here. So we've got Nicholas Squirrel, Rothaga. His childhood. Oh yeah, actually we've got the full, let's get the full, I don't know if you have a rule against this. Do you let people have characters? I haven't really, I mean, this is the first time I'm doing this, so I'm largely just going to stick with the defaults of the game. This is mostly because I expect everybody here to die. All right, so Nicholas here is a 41-year... Actually, what's the 286 here? Oh, chronological age, 286 years. Okay. As a childhood student engineer, a genius child, Squirrel was put in a special training program covering aerospace warfare and engineering. One day, he tried to befriend a squirrel by giving it a bracelet. The squirrel bit him, earning him the nickname Squirrel Boy. Squirrel came to believe that work involving manual labor is beneath him. Oh, hang on. Okay, hauler and cleaner. Okay, construction's fine then. Engineered pilot. After his province was besieged by one of its neighbors, Squirrel volunteered for a genetic modification program that created pilots for the very fighter craft that he helped develop. The modifications allowed him to pilot the ship, but also made him less able to focus on the people around him. This time, people were calling him Squirrel. He's a tortured artist. Squirrel feels alienated and misunderstood by other human beings. He will have a constant mood debuff, but gain a 50% chance to get a creativity inspiration after a mental break. Great! And incapable of dumb labor caused by the backstory student engineer. He's got a stab scar that aches, and an old gunshot in his torso. Sorry, I just lost my one of my mouse pieces. Okay, here we go. Rena Butler. Doesn't have a nickname. 34-year-old chef. Childhood mute. Butler was greatly affected by a traumatic event early in her life. For many years, she refused to speak to people, preferring instead to play with her household's numerous pets. Wardening disabled, doctoring, visit sick people disabled. And Chef Butler was the star chef at a high-class core world restaurant. She was famous among patrons for her creative culinary specialties and infamous among the kitchen staff for her casual disdain for grunt work. Oh, actually, we've got two people who can't do dumb labor. I'm going to have to take a note of that. Has an annoying voice. Butler's voice has a particularly grating nasal quality to it, and she tends to talk in barked, garbled phrases. This predisposes others to dislike her. And sanguine. Butler is just naturally upbeat about her situation pretty much all the time, no matter what it is. Permanent mood effect plus 12. Incapable of dumb labor. Social. And cleaning. Which is fine because that's the same as dumb labor. Comes with 3 fine meals and has a mother, Nicole Squid. Finally, okay, so this is a problem. We have nobody who will haul or clean. That sucks. But I guess the reason why we kept Squirrel Well, it was also the construction ability. Decree, good to see you. I have not changed my policy on being told how to play the game. So one of the challenges here is, yeah, so we need somebody who can do dumb labor. The other challenge is that if I kick Squirrel out, what we're really trying to do is get someone who gives us the shooting and the construction. And the medical. Ooh, that's a pretty tall order. Okay, so let's bring Sonia in instead. This would almost work if I had somebody good at plants. We're also pretty terrible at social, so... And then this leaves us without a medic. So if I can find someone good at plants and... Well, actually, we've got plants, so it's really just a good medic. It's not really a good medic, but... Actually, you know what? Let's just say... Okay, this isn't going to be an easy run, but let's actually go with this slightly insane group. So the new arrival here is Jackson Collins. A 20-year-old child star, was well known throughout his homeworld as a child actor in films and TV shows. His fame put him in contact with many different kinds of people, but also tended to get in the way of his education. And a forester, Collins grew and harvested forests. He understood both the practical challenges of soil types, wind and rain, as well as the long-term planning of forest growth. He's a fast learner, has a knack for learning. He picks things up much faster than others. He's a misogynist, really dislikes and distrusts women. He's ascetic. He has forsaken physical comforts and enjoyments in favor of a simple, pure lifestyle. He will become unhappy if he has a bedroom that's too impressive. He also dislikes fancy food and prefers to eat raw. He never judges others by their appearance, and also incapable of dumb labor. Okay, but we do have at least one person who can do dumb labor. So let's watch the madness happen. The three of you awake in your crypto-sleep sarcophagi to the sound of sirens and ripping metal. You barely get to the escape pods before the ship is torn apart. Sometime later, you land on this unknown RimWorld. As pieces of the shredded starship fall around you, you start making plans to survive. All right. For those of you curious about the animal, it is Vicky, the female husky. So I'm just going to allow all this stuff to get picked up. We'll need to kind of find a storage place for all of it, of course, but... So I want to make sure I'm not missing out on any other easy things to pick up. Now, I've got a few options here in terms of what I'd like to pursue. So it does actually seem like there's quite a few boomalopes here. And then, oh, we also have a boom rat. So one of the things that I'm going to need to work out reasonably early is where my power is coming from. And in theory, we should be able to in theory, we should be able to harvest that from the boomers. And then, of course, the other question is, where do I want to put my base? Sometimes it would be nice to take advantage of sort of natural features, but maybe what we'll do here is we'll try and find, yeah, so places that would be good to grow things on. This feels slightly better than the others. So it does mean we're going to have to drag our stuff over, but I can see this working rather well. So, I'm going to distribute the goods. Okay, so Sonia is my best shot. Everyone equally sucks at melee. All right. So eventually I want to build a base that will allow me to sort of farm some crops up here. How you doing, Algrins? All right, so it says I don't have enough wood stored, but that'll change pretty quick. One drawback I run into is I do sometimes overdo it on the size. So what I'll worry about right now is just the shelter. So basically I want to get the basics down. Okay, I think that's enough to get started with. And then maybe what I'll do here is we'll put an order to chop wood in sort of the immediate area. And then I'm gonna sort of prep for a stockpile here. We'll eventually put this in a room, but I don't want to overwhelm the team with too many asks in one go. I guess the one last thing I can do, recreation isn't exactly the top priority right now, but we know we're going to take down those trees. All right, good to know the horseshoe pin's in place. Occurred to me I probably should put a door down here too. So once I get the basic structure down, I'll start planting the crops and such, but right now it'd be nice if I can actually have a place for everyone to sleep before sundown. Oh, we're getting there. Oh, come on. There we go. All right. So this now means I'm going to build a copy here. And this will allow me to sort of have, there'll be sort of a shelter. Now, one thing that I should sort of note, what I really want to do at some point is, so these are deteriorating because they're unroofed. But like steel doesn't need a roof over it. So there's two things I'm going to do here. I'm going to make a dumping ground. Now, ideally, that's going to be... I don't want it too far away from the site, but I also don't want it... I don't want it to be like a big, long journey. And actually, maybe what we'll do here is we'll say this one won't be for corpses. And then I should also put down some lamps. Okay, so basically here we've got our shelter, we've got our beds, we've got a place for people to be able to eat. I should actually set up the stove. So I think what we'll do here is we'll do 3 days of meals. And basically, once we only have 1 day of food left, we'll start building that again. Okay. I should be thinking about electricity at some point, but there's a general principle I've sort of learned over time. It's that basically a 5x5 plot of rice is usually sufficient to feed my people. Not crazy about the field being like directly outside the... Well, you know what? Let's see if we can do a little bit better. Okay, so there's some specific things I want to do here. We'll get, so rice. So this is to try and establish a constant food supply for my people. And then I'm going to use this to make some cotton. And then as an intermediate step, we're also going to harvest. Although I might want to make it so that somebody prioritizes the hauling. We can kind of afford to have these hanging out for a little bit, but, you know, we should have like a flak vest. There's a few... Actually, you know what? My primary combatant, Sonia. There we go. And I guess we should probably put a sleeping zone for the pooch. So again, one of the problems I run into is I do have a tendency to overdo it in terms of burdening my team with a little too much to do it at one point. So what we're going to do here is we're going to wait till the shelter and all of that is built. And I think maybe what I'll do, once we have the plants, like, so once everything's sort of hauled in and we have all of the plants sort of spoken for, I'll start working out some formal, I'll work out some formal duties. So I guess the idea here is that we have sort of a little barracks going here now. I'm reasonably happy with it. We can probably expand out here. I was originally going to expand out here, but we've got our pin set up, so maybe what I'll do is we'll harvest these. But basically, energy is going to be the way we can start making some real progress on our survival goals. So once these get harvested, we can, yeah, these also need to get transferred. Nope. So that I don't like to see. So butler, the chef, they can do mining, they can do research. But I can see why, like, I haven't given anybody any mining jobs right now, so so that tells me we should be doing some construction. So I'm going to do this in a little bit of a weird order. We will want a butcher's table. Make sure we'll put a door there as well. Put down a stonecutter's table. We can fit a bench. So from there, we can do the simple research bench. I don't make it too luxurious in terms of space, but I don't want it to be too cramped either. Okay. So this isn't a major priority to get done right now. This is more because I can. Actually, what I'll do is I'll put another door down here. This isn't really intended to be some kind of permanent setup. Hey, Vanguard. It is. Have you read the developer's book on game design? Ah. Okay, so the hauling kind of seems to be going apace. I think what we'll do here is we'll fast forward to the end of the day. But once we've got our workshop ready to go, I think probably we will we'll properly assign the tasks. I am slightly intrigued by the fact that the simple meals don't seem to be getting... The book? Yeah, I thought it was quite good. I mean, it's worth remembering that I'm reading it as a player of games, not a designer of games. And so it'd be a little bit like, I don't know, like, so if someone were to say to me, you know, oh, I really loved this, you know, this economics books, this economics books, good Lord. You know, this amazing economics book, it'll change the way you look at it. And then it turns out to be this like very weird heterodox, like, you know, this person's obviously not very thoughtful about this topic kind of a book. You know, like, I'd like to think I'd be somewhat gracious about the whole thing, but clearly there's not going to be a whole lot of room to talk about the issue. So likewise, I don't want to try and assume that just because I thought a book was kind of cool to read, that you know, it's the top resource for people to learn how to make games. But I did like its perspective on a number of things where I think I can claim sort of a degree of understanding. And at least as a player of games, I enjoyed the perspective, and I feel that it allows me to understand why there are some things about RimWorld that really work for me, let's say. I used wood here just because I don't think I really have the resources to put down sandbags. It's one that I actually bought through on Apple. Sorry, the Apple Books, but I have an O'Reilly account now, so I theoretically could just get it through that. Still, I'm not going to complain about supporting the author. All right, so again, we'll let the construction happen, and then from that point we'll set up for a proper set of production priorities. I should maybe say too, like, I'm kind of playing this game assuming everybody knows it. So there's a few things going on. So the game will give you sort of a log of events that have happened to the character. We already sort of distributed all the various gear that we had. So there are some relations that the characters will have. So in this case, Collins is bonded with Vicky, the dog, has an acquaintance of Sonia Khan. So positive attitude towards one of the other members of the team, but has a rivalry with Rihanna Butler. So yeah, the funny thing is here is he's a misogynist, so it's an acquaintance. Basically, the fact that they're a woman cancels out the fact that they survived a traumatic event together, but the chit-chat was enough to put them on a positive footing. Whereas Butler has an annoying voice, and so that's enough for Collins to have a rivalry now. Or an alternative way of thinking about it is annoying voices are sufficient to cancel out the shared trauma of a crash. So Butler is friends with Sonia and considers Jackson Collins an acquaintance. Actually, let's see how Sonia feels about these things. So there's a sister. Considers the misogynist a friend, and considers Rena an acquaintance because the annoying voice cancels out the shared trauma. All right, so we've got a bio, which we kind of already covered. Needs, so this is going to be determining the mood for the characters. So obviously, if you have just crash landed onto an alien planet, you're not going to want a big screen TV and Netflix. We do have horseshoes, so recreation needs are taken care of. Initial optimism, spacious interior, being a master of a dog improves your mood. However, it's an unsightly environment. This place is kind of unsightly. I wish I didn't have to look at all this. And then there's the needs, so food, that I think it's kind of obvious how you get rid of or how you improve the food status. Sleep, again, you can't work forever. Recreation, we kind of already talked about it through there. And then beauty and comfort will affect the mood. I was surprised by this originally, but your characters actually want to be outside. So there are I think some people recommend that building a base inside a mountain's a good idea because it helps you with defenses. But I think if you can potentially wind up with a bunch of mole people if you do that. So, nuzzled, a cute animal nuzzled me. Nobody's really crazy about the living conditions. I've been directly insulted. What an awful person. So this is what leads to some of the absolute madness in this game of like someone can just be on the edge and then a character insults someone and that winds up like, maybe they become a pyromaniac and like set fire to the base or something. And of course that's one of the things that makes this game quite good is that it does a wonderful job of balancing, I feel like the game just kicked me in the balls versus, okay, this is actually kind of a fun event, right? This is the sort of stuff that people like for Crusader Kings, for instance. I'm noticing an idle colonist. I don't think I can change the work. So Collins, yeah, we kind of already covered all of this. I might put them on crafting just because they can. And we have a visitor. An archer from Tasley Alliance is visiting the colony. He is named Trobo Toad Bole. Okay, so I think we're at a point now where I can try and make something a little bit more long-term. Obviously, we're still building, but if I'm at the point where I have idle colonists, I really need to work on that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch the priorities. So we'll do manual priorities, and we'll make sure that like firefighting, so all of the basic stuff here is going to be #1 priority. Now, my understanding of how this menu works is that basically, in fact, we'll also make yeah, you know what? We'll manually change that one at a time. So it's going to go, I believe it goes left to right. So the idea here is that if there's a fire, everybody's going to prioritize putting out that fire. If there isn't a fire, they're going to see if there's a patient. And if there isn't a patient, then they're going to see, and then they're going to go and actually tend to wounds. And then if they need rest, they're going to go to bed, so on and so forth. But they're going to do that. So once all of these are taken care of, they're going to see if there's any other ones here. And if there aren't, then they iterate through the list and then they'll look for the #2. So the rough idea that I have here is that the people who are sort of the top specialists on certain things, I'm going to set those as 2s. Now, one of the problems here is that growing will always happen before. Actually, this is fine because these are all gardening. Butler's going to be a little overburdened with handle, cook, and hunt, although hunt is something that kind of gets enabled. So the big problem here is that construction's actually relatively low on the list, but the good news is that I'll I'll maybe put them mining 4 just because I have them as doing other things. And then, yeah, I guess we can say Smith Taylor. I don't mind putting like the lowest of low priorities. Like basically if there isn't the red border, I'm not that worried about it. And this is just to help deal with the... So again, they'll iterate through the list, right? So in this case here, as long as they don't have like 1 and 2 duties, this is sort of the catch to make sure that they're using their time productively. So yeah, Butler's the best chef if I recall, so they should be higher ranked on cook, although I would value having the stockpile managed before it empties, so we will allow Collins and Sonia to cook. All right, so I also want to just take a look. So we've got somebody with a priority for handling, cooking, hunting. We don't really have someone with a priority for construction, so if I start noticing we have a lot of gaps in the setup, I might change that order. Yeah, I'll still try 1 dedicated construction for now. So Collins is primarily responsible for plants. Now, we don't really have a dedicated miner. I don't really need it right now, but there are some things. So compacted steel, some machinery here, jade. So right now we haven't needed to use any of that, although I'm a little weirded. 30 components. We may want to be getting some components reasonably soon, but for now I'm fine without that, but we will need to do some mining reasonably soon. And then these are sort of the make stuff. Yeah, the only real thing here is that Sonia is Sonia's the only one who can haul and clean. So I'm actually going to make that a priority too, which sort of sucks, but it's not going to happen without it, so I'll move that a bit higher on the queue. So this should hopefully get rid of the colonist idle warning here. And I do have another thing that I want to construct, but I'd like to see everybody do their... Why are you not working, Collins? Because we haven't given him something to do. Right, okay. So under research. So one thing that I'm missing right now, so at some point I want to make a freezer. This is going to be where this will be where taking care of the crops will be accumulating, and so we can maybe grow some different crops. But of course, we also want to start making some things that are better for our survival, like armor and such. So we have electricity. I guess it doesn't make any sense to go for a watermill generator, seeing as there's no water. Solar panel would make sense, though. And actually, I think we can make a... I think we can make wind power now that I think of it. And at some point, I'd like to do geothermal power, but that feels like a very high... Like, that feels like a pretty extreme target to start off with. We can probably burn some wood to start off with, and then try and tame some of these boomalopes to power a generator. Also, who insulted Butler? All right, we'll just keep an eye on relations. But yeah, so power will be the next prior... Oh, sorry, I said I was going to get some research. So let's go for the solar panel. Battery wouldn't be bad either. So, I mean, I can do the wind turbine right now. I wasn't originally planning on it, but... And that tells me that instead of researching the solar panel, we'll research the battery. And I guess that's condemned me now. So as a temporary step, we'll do the wood-fired generator as well. Sorry, I should also be doing the other jobs. So for the bills, this will just basically automatically butcher the creature whenever. At this point, this is really, we should make whatever blocks we can. And then for the bench, I think I'll go for... So I'll make sure that there are button-down shirts for everyone. Make sure that there's pants for everyone. Dusters. And then I figure granite wouldn't hurt for construction. So it takes 1 granite chunk to make 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right, so that's... Actually, you know what? Let's say do until we have 400 or thereabouts. Okay, so the hope here is hopefully we have sort of enough to get us going for a little bit. I'm not going to tell it to do anything else until everything's sort of constructed. But the aim here is going to be, I want to at some point power up my base. We'll use the wood-fire generator as a start. Oh. Tribespeople from the Talsay Alliance have left a gift. Medicine. So electrification's kind of the next goal. I notice we're also running out of wood, so I'm gonna be a little aggressive in terms of our chopping orders. At some point I'll put down some wooden floors, but right now I want to make sure that everything that should be built gets built. I also noticed that we don't have simple meals. So this could be because we don't have any more berries. Okay. And now that we've got the wood-fire generator, I can start putting some power down. Hey, Diluted Daybreak, good to see you. For those of you who do not know, Diluted Daybreak is a wonderful broadcaster. I always like shouting out the Brace Yourself material. So this would be Rift of the Necrodancer. I think you've done Crypt of the Necrodancer, I just haven't personally seen it. Oh, Mad Raccoon. A local raccoon has gone mad. It will attack everyone it sees. So Sonia is my best shot. Looks like meat's back on the menu. Anyways, wonderful broadcaster. I'm always happy to see both in chat and also on their own channel. But yeah, so I don't know about crimes today, Diluted, just because this is my first time doing it on stream, and I'm still sort of at a point where I'm trying to learn. Should actually take a minute. So getting more traders, more trader caravans will come to visit you if you're allied with more factions. If you have no allies, no caravans will ever visit. You can also pay allies to send trade caravans by calling them on the comms console. Fire preparation. Fires can easily burn down a colony. To defeat them, you must prepare before they happen. These design elements can help reduce damage from fires. Instead of constructing one super building, build separate buildings with spaces in between. Use less flammable materials. Wood is cheap and fast, but very flammable. Build fire breaks to stop wildfires approaching your base. A strip of concrete floor, 3 or 4 cells wide, will generally stop an advancing fire. History tab. You can see the history of your colony's fortunes over time in the history tab at the bottom of the screen. I didn't know that. Cool. It's not fair to say I've never played RimWorld before. I've not played it on stream before. I've not played the game to completion, but I'm not completely unfamiliar with the game either. I'm new enough at the game that I've disabled all of the mods. Despite owning them, I've disabled all of the mods so that I can I can sort of learn things piecemeal. I'm also playing on the commitment mode. So obviously we have lots of packaged meals, but I figure that those are a fairly valuable resource, and seeing as we have a bunch of berries that we can bring in, it wouldn't hurt to... it wouldn't hurt to, you know, do it properly. Now I think so we've got some electrification. I'm thinking maybe what we can do now is start working on a freezer. I don't have any strong priors in terms of how big it should be, but this is pretty decent ground for like growing stuff. So what I'll maybe do here... I don't know if that's much of an airlock, but... Sure, go ahead, Diluted Daybreak. Oh, actually, I should probably work out... So eventually what'll happen is the butcher table will go in here. Can probably relocate that now. Good enough. So there's no urgency in getting this done. This is more just one day this will become a fridge. Actually, maybe what I can do is I can also wire it up. Since it looks like you'll be here for a while, Sonia thinks that you should give your faction a name. What should your faction be called? The Many Nations? Sonia also thinks that you should give this settlement a name. What should this local settlement be called? Heath. Oh no, I'm really sorry. Sorry, I thought you were talking about something that happened to you in game. That sounds horrible. I'm glad you're okay. Transport pod crash relationship. A vengeful hunter named Kat is crashing in a transport pod nearby. If she survives the impact, she will be badly wounded. Kat is not affiliated with any faction. You can rescue her and hope she joins freely, or capture her for recruitment or slavery purposes. Kat has a relationship with a colonist. She is Butler's mother. Okay, so we're going to want to get a bed down right away. Oh, there. Collins, you're needed elsewhere. I'm glad you got something for that diluted. But yeah, no, I apologize for not quite realizing the seriousness at the of what happened to you until getting the detail. That sounds absolutely miserable. All right, this is going to be a disaster. Unfortunately, all of these haven't been built yet, so... Oh, come on! I gave up a bed for you, cat. All right, well, there you go. Relying on the floor so you didn't collapse while your mom helped you with spoonfuls of gold. So this is this is a perfect example of the sort of problem that I usually run into. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's been queued up here, right? And this the barricade hasn't been built yet. There's too many priorities running around, and while we have the option of electrification, we don't have any of the wires laid down. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that's being constructed that's not really helpful right now. Whereas the things that I need are not being built. Now, I can actually prioritize, I can sort of force the colonists to do certain tasks. I can also say, you know, don't allow and such. I think maybe what I'll do here, you know what, I'll just let it run. But what I probably should have done was just waited until everything got built. Because, I mean, again, we didn't need, this wind turbine right now isn't actually doing anything. It's just kind of blowing, or I guess the wind's blowing and then it's spinning. And right now, with all of these partially placed shelves, we have some things decaying outdoors because we haven't put a roof over them yet. So these can all get fixed, but in this case here, I'm just going to sort of let things run. Whoa! There's a bear. Hide the dog. All right, the Mad Gang. A group of pirates have arrived nearby. They are attacking immediately. So this is Linda, who has only a knife. This should be pretty straightforward to handle. Now, we don't have defenses set up, but what I can do... Again, Sonia's my best shot. Normally, I'd kind of have all hands on deck for something like this, but... All right. Okay, so we got to move back. Now this is a bit inconvenient. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to make a temporary prison. Capture Linda. But I do want to build something a little more permanent in terms of prisoner accommodations. So if we want to see kind of how health works. So right now, I mean, this is someone we were able to take out who was doing a raid on us, right? So they're not going to be in good spirits. In fact, they're in extreme pain. But there's the difference between whether or not they're currently bleeding, in which case it's more or less like they're on the verge of death. And in this case here, the application of medicine is helping tend the wounds. These are all pretty tough. So in this case, we're at 24% minor blood loss, a reduction in the normal blood volume. Minor blood loss has relatively mild effects, but when blood loss becomes severe, oxygen transport becomes badly impaired and the victim loses the ability to move. Extreme blood loss leads to death. Blood loss naturally recovers over time as the body slowly regenerates its blood supply. Jaw, gunshot wound, pain 22. Sonia's bolt action rifle bullet hit Linda. Torso is bandaged, also from the bolt. Destroyed right kidney by a gunshot wound. And then the left leg is currently wounded as well. So these will get better over time. You'll see the little plus signs. But we also want to recruit this prisoner. Good at crafting, not bad at construction. Yeah, there's a few things that they can do. They're staggeringly ugly and a body purist. Oh, that's got to be fun. Hearing the banging of the stonecutter's table. So what I think I'm going to do, under work for, is it construction for basics? Maybe it's crafting? Nope, I think it's construction. So Butler's the primary builder on that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to prioritize the construction of the beds, the prison, and then I'll let them sort of get back to their normal thing. This will soon be available for prisoners, and then we can get rid of that one. I guess this is my temporary medical. Okay. That's encouraging, so we've also got some power. This means I'll eventually take down these lamps. So clearly these defensive structures wouldn't have helped with the invasion, but we won't dwell on that too much. Oh, one other thing I was meaning to do, we want to auto-cut. So as you can see, there's a lot of inefficiency in terms of how everybody's moving around, right? They're grabbing... Like, this doesn't really serve any purpose. Everybody kind of has to run into this storage room to get stuff. And again, I'm kind of letting... I'm letting it roll just because I know it's temporary. But it does mean that there's sort of a time cost to a lot of this. And of course, because Butler's running around doing everything, we're not really getting a whole lot of research done, which means that we don't have any way of storing this, this wind turbine power. So all of this will eventually be handled, but this is actually not a bad example of the sort of... this is the challenge I was talking about, where I basically try to build too much in one go, and that's kind of where I'm feeling the pinch now. Okay, that should cover the... I think we're out of wood. I figure we can probably also harvest some berries. So I can see a world in which we, like we retain some sort of building along the edge here. So maybe what I think I'm going to do here, just so I can make sure everything gets power, I'll do a hidden conduit like so. Hidden conduits cost 2 steel, so hidden electrical cables for moving power around. They're tougher than regular conduits, but also slower to build and more expensive. And then a bundle of electrical cables for moving power around can be placed under walls and other buildings. So effectively here, if I can cover it up with a wall, I'll make it a regular power conduit, and if I can't cover it up with a wall, it becomes hidden. So steel-wise, we're okay. I don't know why I thought we were running out of wood. We have 259 here. The good news is we're almost done all the shelves. Once all the shelves are finished, what I'm going to do is I'll do proper assignments in terms of things that should be like food. It doesn't hurt that I'm like cutting down a bunch of trees, but I obviously wouldn't have done this if I'd known we had 200 wood. And then we'll put down some proper tiles in here as well, but I figure we can wait on that. So I think Collins should probably move up to number 2 as a warder, just to make sure we have some kind of recruitment effort going on. Now, one of the natural things that I'm going to want to do is eventually move the I'm going to want to move the kind of kitchen and dining hall to something closer to the freezer. Of course, this does actually need to be a freezer first. You'll see here that I've got recruit. So currently the resistance is 9.3. Now, there is a time at which they will try to break out. This can sometimes be worse than just letting them die, let's say. So I'm hoping that the fact that I've put a little more effort into recruitment, put that as a higher priority, is going to recruit this individual before the season passes. Okay, this is encouraging to see. Okay, so now that all these are ready, we're gonna come up with some rules for the shelf. So we'll link the settings. Oh, actually, let's also include that one. Okay, so don't allow rotten, do allow food. We'll take animal corpses. Basically anything that yeah, all this is good. Then presumably the rest of this should be moved back to regular storage. And of course now I need to change the temperature. How do I do this? Yeah, we'll start here. We'll just do it one at a time. I suspect I probably need like 2 or 3 of these. Slaver from the Tasley Alliance. A caravan from the Tasley Alliance is approaching. They are a slaver. They will hang around your colony for some time before leaving. You can attack them, but this will anger their faction. So if I feel like a terrible person, I do actually have the option of selling them as a slave, I believe. But no, we want to recruit them. Okay, so this, I'm going to currently target temperature 21, so put this one at -3. So you may not notice, but here it tells you the temperature of the room. So outdoors it's 29, indoors here it's 27. Inside this room right now with the cooler going, it's currently 20. Brio joked about Cecropia trees with a horse. So one of the challenges here is I'm not 100% clear on how the how quickly the cooler works. So I'm pretty sure this whole room is not going to be handled by this single cooler, but I also don't want to overdo. I don't want to overdo it in terms of putting in too much tech. So I will add a second one here. I think I'm also going to start making a kitchen. Spacious kitchen. This is kind of a odd-shaped dining room, I'll confess. Not what I wanted. So I'm not going to put anything else in this area. Like, I want to make sure that we actually have roofs over all of this before I put down a stove. Okay, and you... Nope, and I've got an idle colonist. That feels bad. See, I was just noticing how much wood there is hanging around here, but I think this is just because nobody's bothered to haul it. The trade caravan from the Tasley Alliance is leaving. Now, how's my freezer going? Okay, so we have enough. Cool. You know what? I think I'll... Well, it's sort of hanging out between the two values. I don't know what it's going to be like when the rain stops, though. So I think for this crop, I'm willing to change it to corn. Actually, this one I am too. And then it did occur to me that we're trying to get a fourth member, so let's also make another growing zone. That can be corn too. So corn feels like a bit more of a high-risk crop, just because if it gets, if like it gets hit with the plague or whatever, you spend a whole lot of time trying to generate it, and then you have nothing to show for it. But because we've got this nice stack of rice, and obviously we'll be converting that into meals reasonably soon, but I sort of feel like we can afford to... I feel like we can afford to switch to the slightly higher risk one. And then once this harvest's done, obviously we'll change this to corn as well. And it looks like not a moment too soon because we're almost out of packaged meals. So I'm going to go so far as to say power conduit here. Let's get you to prioritize these. There's going to be some hungry people soon, so Butler's going to have to get a bit of a mood penalty. We can actually take a look at that under needs. So you can see the comfort's really low, presumably because of the rain. But we really need the food, so... Alright. Didn't deliver, sadly. What? Don't give the last food to the prisoner? Sorry, we have to eat the husky. Alright, no relaxation. So now we'll go for 12 of these. That's just because we plan to have 4 survivors. We'll harvest some more berries just in case people need to eat some raw stuff. I think we're good though. I think I am going to have to build a third cooler, though. Well, could be because it's unroofed. I don't know. I'll feel better with a third one. Sometimes you eat the bar, and sometimes the bar eats you. BAR. So, I mean, this is maintaining. It's not, it's certainly not ideal, but we're in a spot where we can... Oh, rare thrumbos. A small herd of thrumbos have wandered into the area. Peaceful by nature, these rare creatures are extremely dangerous when confronted. Some traders are willing to pay a lot of money for their precious leather and horn. Thrumbos will leave the area in a few days. So yeah, we're not messing with those. So obviously I'm just going to sort of let things run on their own time here. We've got the corn. Linda is... 3.8 on resist. I'm sure we'll be fine in terms of the prison break. I guess that's not really a countdown so much as it's just letting me know the average days awake between prison breaks. This is affected by mood, mobility, the number of prison doors, and the time since the last prison break. All right, and Sonia's cleaning, so I think overall we're in pretty good shape. It's definitely a cramped dining area here, but I don't think I can do a 3x3 table, so maybe what we'll try... 2x2 is slightly more comfortable. 2x4? Not long enough. Actually, I guess there's one way we could make it work. I'm not actually sure how they handle furniture being in the way of the normal path. And I think we're at a point now where I can afford to deconstruct the table and chairs here. The other thing I can do is I can actually get rid of the hand tailor bench because I'll be able to make an electronic one. Now we're probably going to reorganize the way that the overall base works. In fact, I don't even need to prioritize. I mean, it maybe makes sense for me to have some homes built along here. But I'm thinking maybe we can do something like a workshop in this area. Yes, I mean, we need to move the recreation, I suppose, but that's not going to be a major hardship. Okay. fact, we can probably just do that right now. That's a crappy spot to put it. Well, compared to what? So what I'll do here is I'm going to destroy any of the poor quality chairs. And then we can reinstall the quality ones. I guess technically I need to bump the bills up on... But yeah, so I think maybe what I'll do is I'll put down some tiles in this area first. Oh, new lovers. Collins tried to attract Sonia by describing her as a delicate sun. Sonia became aroused and agreed to become Collins' lover. Collins and Sonia will now want to sleep together. Consider assigning them to a double bed. Well, how could we not provide them suitable accommodations? Ooh, I thought that was on my home. Delicate sun. So I'll start with this first one, and then we'll slowly work our way up to having sort of individual quarters for everyone. This will be sort of the prototype. And then, of course, that'll mean we can start dismantling the our main barracks here. Now, I am a little nervous about the lack of rice, because we're only 17 or 18% grown on the corn. So that tells me we should probably do a big berry harvest. And again, I'll let nature take its course as far as putting all this stuff down in order. And of course, at some point, we'll actually get the research done so that we'll have some batteries that we can use to power the place when we don't have wind power. I can live with normal. A wild woman wanders in. A person living among wild animals has wandered into the area. She's called Jackalope. You can attempt to tame her. Why not? Is Butler... Oh god. So Butler gently hummed a song at Jackalope. Butler sat near Jackalope and talked to herself about culture shock. Butler sang an old lullaby at Jackalope, and Butler pointed to the ground, demanding that Jackalope come. Jackalope has accepted and joined Butler's community. Jackalope is now unhappily nude. What can you do? Okay, you can cook. You're good with animals. You're a doctor and social. All right, I can live with this. We should have some leftover clothes, but let's get a work schedule going here. Yeah, I think that's decent. And Butler will now be the priority 2 doctor. Ancient danger. As Butler draws near the ancient wall, a sense of foreboding overcomes her. She isn't sure why, but she feels that this dusty structure may contain a great danger. So noted. And new recruit Linda. Collins promised devotion to Linda and asked her to join. Linda has accepted and joined Collins' community. All right, more mouths to feed. All right, so same story as before. Now they're a little bit of a jack of all trades, it feels like. So I'm going to make them a slightly higher priority constructor. Yeah, I think I can work with this. And I think with where Butler's at now, I'm slightly tempted to make them a higher priority researcher. So maybe we'll make construction, like while we're working on the bedrooms and things like that, we'll maybe make those a higher priority, but... All right, actually, we should go over the bios. So, Jacqueline Jackalope Richter. In childhood, Jackalope grew up in an isolated mid-world village surrounded by opticows and countryside. Her parents taught her a wide range of useful domestic skills, but a peaceful and secure childhood left her with little understanding of the harder parts of life. In adulthood, renowned professor, Jackalope's bottomless compassion and love of knowledge drove her to a life of teaching. She became one of the best-known names in academia throughout the RimWorld bubble. Her hollow lectures were revered by all that watched, and the few students she accepted into her seminars spoke widely of her kindness and patience. She's kind, is an exceptionally agreeable and giving person. She rarely insults others or starts fights, and will sometimes offer kind words to brighten the moods of those around her. She also never judges people by their appearance, and is incapable of violence. And then we've got Linda McDowell, an apocalypse survivor. Linda was born during a time of unrest on her homeworld. As climate change threatened mass starvation and flooding, as she grew up, the situation worsened. Billions died and peaceful states descended into anarchy. Linda and her parents did whatever they had to do to survive. And as an adult, a blacksmith, a smith on a medieval world, Linda gained a reputation for the high quality of her work. She wasn't bad at using the swords she forged either. Staggeringly ugly. Linda is staggeringly ugly. Her face looks like a cross between a drawing by an untalented child, a malformed fetus in a jar of formaldehyde, and a piece of modern art. Others must exert conscious effort to look at her while conversing. And body purist, Linda believes the human body is limited for a reason. To her, artificial body parts and xenogenes are unethical and disgusting and incapable of intellectual pursuits. Sorry, Linda, we'll get you a proper bedroom soon. I wonder if Jackalope's given... Oh, right, because we don't have shirts. Right, let's... Should probably adjust the electric stove too, so up to 15 and then unpause at 5. Party! Butler is throwing a party. Everyone who goes will gain recreation and social energy and a lasting positive mood boost. I'd prefer it if they were a little bit more diligent in their labors right now, but... Party is finished. Okay, so Collins is currently idle, which again surprises me a little bit. Oh. It's definitely not for a lack of granite blocks. Inspired creativity. Thanks to his high mood, Collins has experienced inspiration. The next item, art, or furniture he creates will be 2 quality levels higher than it would otherwise be. This even allows the creation of legendary items. The inspiration will end after 8 days or when the creation is completed. So I think we can maybe make a... marble sculpture, Collins. Oh, it's got to be blocks. Damn it. Okay. So presumably you should be doing the art before... Yeah, crafting is lower priority than, but presumably it's because there isn't enough in the workbench. The hell had happened there? A grizzly bear is attacking after being harmed. It will hunt any humanoid it can reach. It will calm down when it goes to sleep. That can't be good for the combat supplier. You guys really don't care about it, do you? I'm thinking we're not gonna get the meat from that bear. So obviously marble sculptures are not a high priority here, but seeing as we've got an inspired character, I figure it doesn't hurt. And of course we need the beds, so. Maybe you guys should just focus on that for a little bit. If that gets to these walls, that's actually going to be really bad. Oh crap. Okay, all hands on deck. So I think I can afford to do... Yeah, we're out of granite, so... Not without cost, but... So again, slow transition towards more standard accommodations. Right. Not crazy about the poor quality, but we'll learn to live with it. And I think what I'll start doing here... sorry, I can't remember who the new lovers were. I know one of them was a misogynist. Okay, so Sonia and Collins. Figure it's a start. That's actually kind of convenient that the ambrosia grew here, so we can harvest that when it's ready. It is mildly addictive, but we'll see if we can get lucky. And I guess by the rule that I had before, we should get another... Collins has created a large marble a masterwork large marble sculpture. This piece resembles Rena Butler welcoming Jacqueline Jackalope Richter as she becomes a colonist with a hearty handshake. Jackalope looks relieved. The image somehow expresses both confinement and murder. This illustration relates to Jackalope being recruited by Butler on the 1st of August, 5500. All right. It's a little unfair that the first room gets all the goodies, but life's not always fair. But yeah, so the I should be putting down another growing zone. And that's just following the general principle of having one sort of 5x5 crop for each colonist. A local doe has gone mad and it will attack everyone it sees. This could go bad very soon. Run for your lives! The Reaper is coming! Yeah, I'm not rescuing that thing, I'm hunting it. Going back to bed, huh? Who's my hunter? All right, Sonia. I know when I get attacked by a mad doe in the middle of the night, I always want to pound out some granite slabs. And apparently they're doing it. As one does. Yeah, there's the status. Bunch of weirdos. So obviously I'd like to see a little more progress on the food. I think I'm also going to expand my quest active, a shack of valuables. We've intercepted messages about a collection of valuable items worth $650 not far from Heath. The collection consists of psychic sanity lance. It does say that it's a difficulty 2, so I don't know with my current group if that's something I really want to pursue. All right, and we've got some research going on, which is good. So obviously a proper prison, a proper medical ward, all of these are sort of ideals right now, but I'll settle for finishing the existing rooms. Oh, this isn't a freezer anymore. Rejected proposal. Collins told Sonia that he wants to spend his life with her. Sonia rejected the proposal. Jackson Collins is going to be unhappy about this. But yeah, for now, again, we're sort of back into the mode where I'm happy to just pursue the current goals. So while we're building new bedrooms, while we're laying down the tile for the kitchen and such, I'm just gonna let the the session run through. I think I was premature on the corn, but we'll probably be able to survive that. I may want to harvest a few more berries when the opportunity comes, but we do also have the outside option of hunting some stuff. Actually, I don't think it would hurt to try and tame some muffalo when the time comes. We can probably build like a big pen here, and that'll give me some wool for things like toques. Oh, looks like we're ready for the electric tailor. We'll probably have a different location for the workshop. I'm thinking the workshop can maybe go up here, but we should be able to move all this stuff. So I'm thinking we have sort of a nice centralized so now the question is, do I just keep it that way? Collins is perpetually unoccupied. I guess that's because I haven't given him any art to do. But I also feel like I should probably have him do... Well, okay, I kind of see the problem here. Like, he's... Wait, no, because he's gonna... He should be cutting stone blocks. Huh. All right, raid the Green Pit Union, and in an inconvenient place. A group of tribespeople from the Green Pit Union have arrived nearby. They will prepare for a while, then attack, prepare a defense, or attack them preemptively. So it's just one person, but it's an archer. So I don't think we need to interrupt our day. Over that. I'm a little surprised that there's no hauling and cleaning to do, but I guess that's because there's nothing being built. So yeah, I don't know. After all this construction, maybe we'll make a warehouse and a factory, and then One thing I would eventually like to do is start dismantling sort of the barracks here, but I'm going to have a little bit of a dilemma in terms of... who is the owner for that? Nobody yet. In terms of occupied beds, we have... what? 1, 2, 3. So there's going to be a bit of a gap in terms of... I mean, I could probably just cram them into this room or something like that, but it still feels a little weird. I could also maybe try and put maybe a bedroom down below here. There's no real rule saying that they have to be laid out in a special way. The one that bugs me more is this cooler. I just kind of started building it and abandoned it. Because of a lack of steel. Alright, that's rather unfortunate because we were able to get that ages ago. Who's the person who will do the mining? Sonia. That's a particular shame just because the we would have obviously it would have been better to have more time. Sonia's my better shot and is currently mining. Anyway, lessons learned. I think we'll get through it, but not ideal. Sorry, Butler, your services are required. Okay, so Tasca is unwaveringly loyal. Normally I wouldn't do this, but... we'll patch them up and release them. Tasca is unwaveringly loyal to their home and will refuse to be recruited entirely. You can see whether someone is unwaveringly loyal by selecting them. So, in this case, maintain, release, or execute. So in this case, we might as well let them recover. All right, so the doctor should have been working on this. Might be too late, but... okay, we're extending the time. There we go. Saved. This is what I was talking about, by the way, when I have the challenge that I run into with the commitment mode. this sort of stuff creeps up on me a lot. Ship to the stars. A friendly AI from your past named Charlton Charlin Whitestone has sent you a message. He reveals that he has a starship hidden on this planet and sends you its world coordinates. The starship, is in deep hibernation mode. You'll have to start it up when you arrive, then defend it from raiders trying to steal it until the setup sequence completes. It'll be a long, difficult series of battles. If you can get the ship off the ground, Charlin Whitestone will take you off this RimWorld to the stars. Which so far as I can tell, this is the end game sort of event. Sorry. But I haven't gotten to it. And frankly, I don't think I would be able to survive waves like that. But who knows? One day. Still mad about this cooler. So one of the challenges that I run into is that my natural inclination in a game like this is to sort of want to, like, basically for there to always be some kind of production going on. And specifically in this case, the production should be, you know, how am I making my people better warriors? How am I training them better? And so on and so forth. I'm still sort of suffering from a little bit of a hangover in terms of some of the earlier choices that I made. So like, for instance, we still have like marble chunks here which haven't been handled. Now I haven't instructed anybody to haul them or anything like that, so that's not the end of the world, although maybe we can do that now. These can go. Yeah, I figure that's enough for now. And, you know, again, we're slow on building these little houses. This really didn't need to be delayed, but because I didn't think to mine out the steel, I just kind of thought I had an infinite amount. All of that sort of... those chickens are coming home to roost. Now, ideally, everybody gets button-down shirts. And everybody should have pants too. I don't think we will need the parkas and toques, but just in case. And of course we need style, so... I should probably try and sell some of these off when we have another encounter with traders, but... Oh, good lord, this thing's done. So I'm trying to think if another round of trying to get some berries would go amiss, because again, it's corn, it takes a long time to harvest, and I would rather have too much food than too little. So we'll do one last big round. And again, we have the option, you know, we can hunt buffalo or something like that, but ideally we'll be able to have some self-reliance. I suppose in the worst case scenario, one of the other options I have is to plant some more rice, but it'd be nice if we can just kind of get through this dry spell. And I think I'm going to shuffle this zone over a little bit. I can always expand it later. And that's just so I have an excuse to build another one of these. So this is 8, right? Yeah. Ah. I'll try maybe doing these one at a time. Especially because power-wise... Still don't really have a hospital, so it's debatable as to whether or not I'd even want to completely dismantle this stuff. Yeah, well, I mean, so I had the option. I basically grew all this corn after my first rice harvest, and it was just sort of because I had a freezer up and running, and I didn't really think about the fact that I was about to replace one of these. I definitely wasn't thinking about the fact that I would be short on steel and effectively exposing this to the elements. And so yeah, there's sort of this, there's a number of different factors that suddenly made this a little scarier. Now, again, it's not the end of the world just because we've got these berry bushes. Like, clearly nobody's starving right now. We've got 12 meals, you know, we've got some rice left over, and the corn plant's growing in sort of a higher priority, or sorry, a higher efficiency region. I could also get addicted to ambrosia in the worst case scenario, I suppose. But still, like, it's largely an unforced error on my part, so that always feels a little foolish. One thing I will want to do, obviously, is keep an eye on the components next. I'm mystified as to why they kept this wall open, though. Maybe I should stop building new rooms until that happens. But again, all this will resolve itself. It's just I'm assuming if I want to start playing on the higher difficulties, all of these little inefficiencies that I'm demonstrating are going to have to be resolved. And, you know, just the simple fact that there's little things like, you know, I will still get surprised when my, you know, my doctor is doing something other than tending someone who has, you know, 2 hours to live. That's always a nasty surprise. But on the other hand, I'm not necessarily going to, you know, I'm not necessarily going to learn, I'm not going to behave any differently until I actually, you know, burn my hand on the stove, recognize that I'm going to, you know, realize the pain, basically, that I'm causing myself. And, you know, I'll get over it eventually, but unfortunately, this is probably it's a lesson I have to learn the hard way. I'm also sure this is not the smartest thing to have people running by unsightly chunks on their way to their rooms, but one magical day we'll put a warehouse where my pin currently is. Yeah, we kind of seem to be doing just-in-time granite blocks too, so... Mind you, we've had someone pretty consistently hammering away at them, so... At least until the... sleep time comes. Visitors, a group from Kolor, are visiting the colony. They seem to have a few items to trade, so I might be able to get rid of some of my ratty clothes. I actually don't know who my best negotiator is. So Sonia's useless. Butler's useless. Collins, despite being a misogynist, apparently is pretty good at social, but Jackalope is my best negotiator. Alright, so we get 38 for that. Now, if I'm feeling nervous, I can turn that into a packaged meal. Oh, we could also try be... Yeah, we're drug dealers. So I'd still be a net loss with the heavy SMG. But I guess we can at least buy things. So we've got some components. Yeah, I guess we can take the helmet. Yeah, I figure this, like, we have the money. We're still netting positive cash. We're getting rid of some of our garbage. I'm reasonably happy with this. And, you know, we'll just let the components deteriorate. Damn it, Collins. Transport pod crash. A logger named Lisa is crashing in a transport pod nearby. If she survives impact, she will be badly wounded. Lisa is not affiliated with any faction. You can rescue her and hope she joins freely, or capture her for recruitment and slavery purposes. Look at these heartless people. So I think it probably would have been better to tend to Lisa first. Assuming she survives. Well, we've got a good shot. There's psychopath, so that's possibly a minor drawback. Now this is looking encouraging. I'm a little surprised we don't have takers in terms of the fancy new bed. Party! Sonia is throwing a party. Everyone who goes will gain recreation and social energy and a lasting positive mood boost. Yes, this last bedroom should cover us for the whole group. And we also, so we've got basically another day left of meals, plus the packaged meals, but the corn should be finishing either today or tomorrow. Damn it, Collins. So, Sonia. See, the thing is, she's quite good at crafting. More so than Collins. So if we're really going to have Collins idle that much... And then maybe what I'll just do here is, the reason we had the art at that level was... because of the inspiration. But if we really have nothing else for Collins to do, we might as well sort of improve the aesthetics of the other rooms. A fault in an electrical conduit has caused a short circuit which started a fire. So I was kind of hoping we'd have batteries by the end of this, but... Okay, running low on food, which is a little nerve-wracking, but we're at 97 on those corn plants, so I'm cautiously optimistic we'll have the grand harvest. Boomalope self-tamed. Alright, so right around the I guess now we can do other forms of power generation. A Boomalope has become tame. It is now designated Boomalope 1. So we need a pen. Try and make a reasonably big one. This is more in anticipation of the Muffalo. I can never remember where to put where the there it is. So it wouldn't be bad with the one tamed Boomalope. It actually wouldn't be bad to tame another one so they can have babies. Again, whether that's something I want to take on right now or save for another session, I'm not sure. And the corn is finally ready. So presumably we should not have any further problems with food. We'll probably want to put down another corn plot, but I don't see us having any food difficulties. Midnight snack. Alright, that's good. So that should be Jackalopes bed. So yeah, so far all of these are for colonist use, so I probably don't need this many medical beds. But we'll keep the option open. I guess I'll maybe have one so that Lisa has somewhere to go. One of my next priorities, so, you know, I'm hoping that we don't lose the Boomalo. I'm not exactly going out of my way to save it. Where is it? It's right here. So it may just wander off the map. Oh. Alright, we've got our battery, finally. Build batteries for storing electricity. So next one we'll do is a solar panel. Now, I didn't necessarily think about where I was going to store the batteries. So I think the time has come for me to... It's pretty far away. So maybe what I'll do is I'll make a little room for the batteries first. Be room for expansion. Should probably wait till that's built. But then immediately following, we should get this workshop down. So I don't know, I do like the idea of building this around a nice big 10 by 10 sort of storage place. Oh, now I've gone and done it. So I have a feeling that this is not actually going to hold nearly as much as I think it's going to, but I can worry about that later. So I'm thinking maybe we'll put the stone cutter in here. We'll wait until it's fully built, but... And then what I can do... Maybe what I can do as well is kind of in the back I can have sort of a storage area for the stone. So I'm thinking like maybe what I do is I have a walled off storage area for all the chunks. Just so there's kind of a common place for it to go. Then there'll sort of be an intermediate storage in here. Yeah, okay, I can see that working. And then, I mean, I guess this winds up holding finished goods or something like that. I haven't quite thought that part through yet. Yeah, I'll have to have a little bit of a think in terms of how I'm organizing all of this, but in terms of main goals, we've got a nice corn harvest. We seem to be doing okay in terms of our I didn't even pay attention to the visitor leaving. Alright, well, we did a nice thing. But yeah, okay, so I think we've made it through in terms of our food needs. We'll maybe double check that. We're at the beginning of a warehouse. Now, I guess one big thing that I'd like to try and keep an eye on is I don't necessarily want just a bunch of crap sitting around the base. Like, if I don't have if it's like tattered, if it's poor, that sort of stuff should probably be turned into something more useful. Also, this is a pretty crappy rec room, but well, this is an eating place, really. But still, it sucks. And it really bothers me that the chairs are lined up against the wall, but I think I'll focus on the warehouse to begin with. I haven't really left myself a whole lot of other options for play. I mean, maybe we'll just do that somewhere over here. Although I guess we'll also be freeing up a whole bunch of space over here as well. Yeah, anyways, one way or another, I want the old base to slowly be dismantled. This room will be moved into here. This specific station will go into this room. And then the hope is there'll be sort of an equivalent. I guess the tailor might make a little more sense to put over here, seeing as it's closer to the cloth. or the cotton rather. Art, I suppose, should go next door here. That would deal with my little production area here. I could completely dismantle that. Yeah, so this would get dismantled, this would get dismantled. Presumably some of this gets turned into housing. But the other one that I don't have a clear spot for yet is some kind of medical center. I can't really put it here because eventually I'm going to want to have the power. I guess I could put it here. I don't know. And then there's a question of the research areas. So that doesn't necessarily have to be the same as crafting. So I don't necessarily have to put it all in the same area here. Although I imagine trying to defend this is going to be a complete... Like, this is here just to get rid of the need defenses warning. This is not actually accomplishing anything. Anyway, I'm half an hour over, and it's a work night. So I have actually been streaming quite late. So I realize this is for people who are... Oh, Umalope started to roam away. I haven't gotten too dependent on the chem fuel yet, so if that happens, that it was self-tamed, easy come, easy go, right? So I imagine for most people experienced with RimWorld, this is stuff that's probably done within like the first 20 minutes for people who are more familiar with the game. I certainly enjoyed it. I'm not entirely sure if I learned anything that I haven't sort of applied in other sessions. I will actually confess, this, believe it or not, this is one of the cases where I've arguably been faster in getting power up. I normally take a very long time, and I've had cases where I actually start by powering with the steam geysers. But as you can see, I haven't really handled it very well. You know, I'm relying on this wind power, which isn't doing too much for me. I have completely exhausted my wood without even looking at it. Okay. But yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll kind of keep this as a separate save, so I won't do this on my own time, but this was also sort of an intermediate spot where I wanted to do something. I didn't want to commit to starting a full-on new game on Wednesday. Actually, the funny thing is that I will be... So Cyberpunk on Friday, but I guess it'll be Monday, and then there's the local game dev meetup next Wednesday. So maybe I do more RimWorld. I'll figure it out. But anyways, thank you for joining me for this. I'm going to go to the main menu, and let's see who is online tonight, or specifically online at this hour. Revived, actually, sorry, one more thing. I think Revived Snow is going to be the option here. Revived Snow is currently doing more of Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. But another fellow Canadian, camless, voiceless VTuber, I believe has been doing Space Marine 2 through Dare Drop. I don't recall. I know previously the streamer's done it with co-casters. I think this might be a solo Space Marine. Anyways, I do like hanging out with Revive Snow. I probably won't do it too late tonight because I do actually need to get to bed. But I think they're a wonderful broadcaster and somebody who can take you through your own evening. So thank you everybody for watching. I'll be back Friday for Cyberpunk, and I will eventually figure out what I am doing broadcast-wise for the regular days. Anyways, see you later. Bye.